Hello, welcome to episode 46 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting, spinning and living green, all of course with the occasional help of the kitty of the house. My name is Isabelle and I'm talking to you from Montpellier in southern France on a very warm Wednesday morning. Today is June the 8th, 2016. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Pinterest as Fluffy Fibres, and you will find the show notes for the podcast on fluffyfibres.com. And the podcast also has a Ravelry group. This will be my last podcast, my last episode for a little while, because it will be the last podcast before I have my baby and I spend time with my family. So I'm not sure when I'll be coming back, and I will explain to you a little more about that later. Today's episode will include my cup of tea, a handmade wardrobe, a bit of sewing, a bit of knitting, and Happy Mail Day. But before I start, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone who's joining me today, to welcome new viewers, and thank you so much to everyone who's coming back to this podcast today. I really do hope you enjoy. If you're a new viewer, this is probably it's not going to be a typical podcast in terms of my mood, and I will explain why. I do hope you still find some interest in this episode. So I wanted to address a couple of things before I start. First, lately I've been going through my Ravelry messages, and I had so many unanswered messages since almost a year really, because the last semester, the second half of 2015 was really very busy and rough for me, and I just got completely swamped with messages, and I always was hoping to get back to them and to reply to them, but so I've been rereading. I read everything obviously, but I've been going back through them and really treasuring every one of these messages. But I made the decision lately to not answer, the unanswered emails over there. So I do thoroughly apologise, deeply apologise to any one of you who hasn't got a response. I'm sure you know how busy things have been. But I still wanted to tell you that I really did appreciate your message and treasure your words and your taking the time to message me. So that you know that I'm not, I didn't want to ignore you. I also wanted to talk about why I haven't been very present lately online. We got really bad news in my family, and it's really hard to share them, but I'm going to try today. And my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. We got the official news exactly a week ago. We'd been fearing this for a little more, as he was taking his tests, and he's been really poorly since the beginning of the year. And yes, so it's a very difficult time. It's a very bad cancer, if you know anything about pancreatic cancer. So it's been really hard, and it's not helping that I'm on the other side of France. I live on the very opposite side of France from my parents for work reasons. I really love it to be otherwise because I'm very close to my family, but that's just the way life goes. So what's difficult for me at the moment is I'm obviously too far advanced in my pregnancy to be taking this kind of drip, and so it's difficult to be far, and yeah, so the plan is, as soon as the baby's here and we are both fit to travel, we will be travelling to see my parents. My parents are very keen on us, on everyone to keep going with their lives, and keep their own lives as normal as possible, and that's the reason why I decided to podcast today. It's been really difficult to do so. It's taken me a few days to manage to pluck up the courage to do so, but this morning I felt ready, and I'm really doing that, you know, because this is really what I want, really. And I'm sure it will do me good to be spending this time with you as well. Yeah, so I'm obviously not my usual chirpy self. I barely sleep at all. When I get 3 hours sleep a night is a good night at the moment. So yes, it's been a very strange time to be expecting a new arrival and having that at the same time. So yes, but anyway, enough about that. The one thing I wanted to say though is I'm not, the last thing I want is a pity party. This is really the very opposite of what I'm trying to do today. I'm trying to have a podcast with you, to chat, to share my last projects before a while. I will be sharing all of my projects on Instagram now, and I will probably be more precise on Instagram about my projects since I won't be podcasting for a while. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, my account is private, but any one of you whom I can tell from their profile is, you know, from the Fireberry community, I will accept. Or, however, if it's not clear from your profile, if your profile is blank or completely private, I will not accept your request, because I do want to know who is following me to a certain extent. And so in that case, direct message me on Instagram and just introduce yourself a little, and then I can add you, and I will gladly do so, and I really do appreciate those of you who have taken the time to do so. So anyone who's been sending a request and I've not accepted the request, it's nothing personal, it's just that I couldn't tell from your profile. So do please drop me a direct message and ask to follow me again, and I will definitely accept you. So yes, what I wanted to say is, please, I don't want to see any message saying I'm sorry or any negativity, if you want. I don't need that at the moment. It's the last thing I need. I need positive messages. I need positive vibes. I wouldn't mind if you didn't say anything. Just, you know, if you just commented on my projects and what you've been enjoying from today's podcast, that would be just wonderful. So please do respect this. It's one of the reasons why it's been difficult to talk about it. Is I just don't want this to become as, you know, more difficult than it is at the moment. So please do respect that, and no words of sorrow or I'm sorry or that kind of thing, please. So for my cup of tea today, I'm drinking an infusion, or as Kay would say of the Babe Cribers podcast, a tisane, which is indeed a lovely word. And I've really been completely off tea lately. I'm just not into it at all. And so I've been drinking lots of water and this kind of thing, which is called, I'm going to show you the English side. It's from Love Organic, and it's called exotic fruit tea. In French, it's called eau de fruit, which I really like the name of. It's fruit water, really, and it's just a mixture of herbs and fruit, and you can have it either hot, you know, as regular tea, or you can brew this in a jug of water for several hours in your fridge, and I really love doing that as well. And so this one is the exotic fruit tea. There's another one that I really love as well, which is the wild berry. I think that's the one I was drinking last time I recorded, actually. But I went to my favourite tea shop in Montpellier on Saturday because I wanted to treat myself to a new fruit infusion. I didn't have much left at all, and they had all, you know, this 50% off. I usually drink loose tea, but this was 50% off in its bags, so it was really interesting. I'm actually debating going back for more because I really love these. And so this is apple pieces, rose hip, mango pieces, hibiscus, chicory, and then you have natural flavours of mango, pineapple and passion fruit, and this is all organic. So, and it's French, it's a French brand of tea, but love, there's a pun on the love, because love means leaf in, I think it's Swedish, no, yeah, well they say in Scandinavia, so it means leaf, but of course there's the pun because love obviously also implies the English word. I really like this brand of teas. So at the moment I did brew this warm because I didn't have any left, you know, in the fridge, but I let it cool down all morning. It's currently 10 AM, so it's lovely and refreshing. I really do love this. So for a handmade wardrobe today, I'm not going to get up because getting up and down is, yeah, I'm trying to rest at the moment. I just started my maternity leave, by the way, on Monday. Today was Wednesday, and it wasn't a day too soon, let me tell you. I'm still going to have to do some work, which I'm not legally required to, but I know it's going to fall back on my colleagues if I don't, and yeah. And anyway, I think it's good as well that I keep myself occupied at the moment, so yeah, but nothing too drastic. So for a handmade wardrobe, I'm wearing a dress that I made when I was expecting my daughter, so in the early autumn of 2011, and it is Simplicity 2580, but I altered it for maternity wear, and it has a cowl neck and an empire waistline. It's out of a knit fabric, and it's a cotton knit. I wrote a blog post about this dress back when I made it, so I will link to it in the show notes so that you can check all the alterations that I made. I really listed very precisely all the alterations that I made, and this was inspired from a ready-to-wear maternity dress that I really liked. It has a tie as well, and yeah, it's really pretty. And actually, I've pretty much forgotten that I had this dress, and I found it in my closet the other day. I've been, you know, sorting everything out, making room for the baby's things and that kind of thing, and I realised I had another maternity dress from all the of the dresses I've been wearing and making lately, so that was really nice. So I've been really enjoying wearing this. It's very summery with this very vibrant turquoise shade, so I really love this dress. So moving on now to a bit of sewing. So what you can see behind me obviously is that I finished my daughter's quilt. I'm recording again today in my children's bedroom. It feels wonderful to be saying children's because the little one, the baby brother, is going to be here in probably about 3 weeks now, and so we are definitely making this both children's rooms, both the children's bedroom, and so you can see behind me that I finished my daughter's quilt that I made out of a Moda jelly roll. It's the jelly roll is from the Prairie collection by Cory Yoda, and it's a very big quilt. It's a twin size quilt, so because for now my daughter is keeping her current bed, which is 70 centimeters by 140 centimeters, so it's a small child's bed, I would say. It's not a baby bed, but it's not a twin size, it's not an adult sized bed either. But when the baby is bigger, he will be getting her bed and she'll be getting a bigger bed, a twin size bed. And so this is going to be for her new bed. And I just figured I'd make it now so that I'm sure it's done, because I know things are going to be obviously more challenging once the baby is here and I have 2 children to take care of, and that's a reason why I've been doing so many things. I've been trying my best to make many things, all the things I wanted to make really. That had been on my list, and that's because I know after the baby's born I'm going to be so much slower at finishing projects, especially this kind of massive project. So we really very much like it. What I did from last time I'd already pieced it and free motion quilted it, and so I bound it. And in fact what I did is I had enough fabric from the backing that I could actually flip it over and bind it this way, and I really like this kind of finish. And I did a blanket stitch on my sewing machine, my wonderful Janome, which I got in January, which I absolutely love. You know, I've been sewing quite a bit since the beginning of the year, and I can say this machine, it's the Skyline 5. It's been wonderful at single thing I've been doing, and I've been doing such a variety of them, you know, sewing with knits for garments, quilting, free motion quilting, doing this kind of decorative stitch. Let me try and show it to you a little better in more detail. I'll put it back afterwards. But yes, I hope you can see properly. But it's this kind of blanket stitch that I did all around. You can see the other side is continuous, and then you have the free motion quilting as well. I guess you can see better on the other side. And the very nice thing as well is the fabric I used for the backing actually matches my daughter's curtains perfectly. They are the same shade of green, pea green I'd say, or lime green, but larger polka dots. And I didn't, you know, the curtains I made a year ago, I didn't purchase the fabric in the same store, so I was quite chuffed with myself for finding such a good match. So yes, and so it's just rows upon rows of this beautiful jelly roll collection from Moda. So this is my first finished large quilt. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. So yeah, so I'm going to pause for just a minute so that I can put it back on the e-crib, so that you have a nice background to look at, and I'll be back. So there you go. Yeah, I'm really pleased I managed to do that before the baby was born, and it's really a special gift, I think, for my daughter. She's really thrilled with it as well. I hope she keeps it for a long time. I did embroider a label for her as a dedication. I'm not going to show it to you because there's her name on it, and I'm not sharing my children's name online, but yeah, there is definitely this little label so that she can, you know, with the date, and yeah. So for sewing as well, what I've been doing lately, and I must say there is nothing as soothing as sewing, as satisfactory, you know, satisfying, rewarding, and yeah. So over the weekend I forced myself to, and again it did bring me not joy but solace to do that. I did force myself to do some sewing, and what I did is I finished some long languishing projects in my sewing studio that had been just lying around for months or even years. And one of these is a little blouse tunic that I had started 2 years ago, if you can believe it. And this is from a French pattern from La Droguerie, which is the Granville tunic, la tunique Granville. Granville is a town in Normandy. And so La Droguerie are mainly known for their yarn and their knitting patterns, but they also started, a few years ago, they also started selling fabrics which are very akin to Liberty fabric in terms of the handle. It's cotton lawn, but also the kind of prints that they do. And I really like their fabrics. And they sell them in, I like the way they sell them as well, the cuts that they sell them into, because you can, this was a pretty small cut, and so it was rather affordable, even though the fabric itself, you know, if you buy it by the meter, it's going to cost you quite a bit. But out of a smallish cut, I can eke out a garment for my daughter, so that's really nice. So I think that actually cost me something like €6.50, you know, the fabric, the cut, the pre-cut. So the fabric I really like, and this is completely my daughter's colours. This kind of teal, fresh blue, fresh aqua, I'd say. She really likes this kind of shade. So when I made that, when I started sewing this up, so 2 years ago, my daughter was 2, I did cut out the 2-year size, and it was completely shapeless and humongous. It was completely discouraging because it was very difficult to re-wet the seams into something that fit better, because you have contiguous sleeves, as you can see. So if you take out too much hair for a better fit, then you don't have enough room for the arms to move around. So yeah, but I found it again in my sewing room a few months ago, and I just tried it on my daughter, and it fit much better. So I did tweak the fit more, and I did, you know, reshape it somewhat, and I just finished it. I bound the neckline with some white bias tape, I did the hems, and so now, yes, my daughter has this new little tunic that she can wear. It's pretty long, so she can wear it either as a short dress or a tunic with leggings. She was really pleased with that, so that's nice. That's really very much her style as well at the moment. Not lots of ruffles, you know, just a little touch of a nice little detail, but not too much frills, not too many frills for my daughter, because she wants her clothes to be practical. So yeah. So yes, that's one thing I finished. And the other thing I finished is I had 2 project bags cut out, ready to assemble. And again, they'd been waiting. One of them, this one, had been waiting for about a year. About a year ago, I made a series of these bags in this particular fabric, which is a French kind of Ida fabric, actually, with a botanical theme, and it's made in France, actually. So it's cotton, and you can see at the bottom here it's written botanique. I really loved this fabric, and I made a series of them for friends, and I always wanted to make myself one as well, and never got around to it because I was so busy back then. But I did have, you know, some of the fabric cut out for me, the very last bits of it, really. And so I found this in my sewing room the other day and just decided to finish it already. So yes, I finally have a bag of my own in this fabric, which I'm really pleased about. It's a good size for, I'd say it's a medium to large size. It's a good size for 2 skein projects or even 3 skein projects. And I even treated myself to making myself a little lavender sachet that I've been making a lot lately as well, for friends or for my family as well. I send some to my sisters as well. I love sending little things like that to my sisters, or giving them to, you know, giving these to them when I see them. Just little treats that they treasure. And yeah, so I finally made myself one. It's filled with organic lavender from Provence, so not far at all from here. And so I have my own little treat. I decided to treat myself, really. So I have my own bag with my own little lavender sachet in it, and I already know what project I'm going to house in it. I haven't used it obviously yet, but I know what's going to be the first project in there. and the inside is a grey cotton. And because the outside fabric is very stiff, because it's Ida fabric, you know, the kind of fabric that you use in embroidery, I didn't use any interfacing for this, and it really does stand up well on its own, so yes. And I made another bag as well, but I sent it out yesterday, and it was a long overdue gift that I was hoping to send out last autumn, so I'm glad I finally did. And that's again a thing I wanted to do before the baby was born, because that was really a package that I had wanted to send out for so long, so it felt really good to be sending this out yesterday. I do hope the recipient likes it. And I posted a picture on Instagram, and it's I already showed you some of these bags. It's the Paris themed one, again fabric that's made in France, you know, a very fun take on Paris vignettes really. So I do hope it's appreciated. One of the reasons why I had a hard time sending this out is that it's going to a friend who's a very, very, very good sewist, and I just was paralysed to be making her something, because I felt it would always fall short of her own skills. But I really did do my best to do as good a job as I could on this particular bag. So yes, that's it for my sewing. I didn't make much, I didn't make anything else. Well, that was a huge project, the quilt. I'm not sure what, you know, I really wanted to do this for my daughter to make her feel special, but what possessed me to make a twin size quilt at the, you know, in my last trimester of pregnancy, because you need to do this. I don't have a table that's big enough really, so I need to do this on the floor. So I had to pin, you know, to fold over, cut out, measure the binding and pin it down, you know, and I wanted to do a very precise job of it, you know, make sure it was perfectly on grain, etc. I had to do this all on the floor. And it took me an entire morning to do that. Yeah, so, but I'm glad I did, but it was a huge endeavour really. Just pinning it, you know, pinning it down. I'm not even talking of the sewing. The sewing is okay. You're sitting at your sewing table, you know, sewing machine, it's okay. But yeah, it was definitely a labour of love, this one. I do have some quilting plans that I wanted to mention. My lovely friend Shauna recently shared her upcoming quilting plans, and I really enjoyed that segment in her podcast. She has the Adelaide Cottage podcast and Etsy shop, and we've been chatting together along with Sarah of Love Suck Wool about, because there was a big quilting convention in the US recently, where the companies released their new collections for the year, for the second semester, I'm guessing. And there were a few that we completely fell in love with, so we're very, very excited about them, and we're thinking of having a quilt along in September probably. So for my birthday was in early May, and that was my birthday gift to myself, and it's a layer cake, which I found was perfectly adequate, you know, birthday cake, right? And it's the potting shed, so it's again Moda fabrics. I absolutely love Moda. The potting shed, as you can see, by Holly Taylor, and it's absolutely stunning. So all the fabrics in there are so much my shades, especially in terms of home decor, and it's all botanical prints, so of course I love it. I completely loved it. And so it's the same principle as a jelly roll. You have the whole collection in this. You know, every fabric in there is a different print from the collection, and it's just the cut that is different. Here it's I think it's 10 by 10, 10 inch by 10 inch, yes, 10 inch squares, and you have 42, I think, in there. Yeah, 42 squares. And I'm thinking of making, and this time we're going to do quilt as you go because it's going to be much easier than quilting an entire quilt the way I did my daughter's. So this is Quilt As You Go, made modern by Jiro Brandvig, which has been very, popular lately, this book. And I want to make the balut blocks, which is this, the balut blocks, because they really make the fabric stand out. And I really smiled because you can see a better picture here, because I had, this earmarked, and I actually already have a little, see, I have some notes here with the way I want to make it really, and the size I want, and actually Shauna has had the exact same idea, to use a layer cake with some beautiful prints for the same quilt. So it's just lovely to see how we gravitate towards the same things. And what's nice about this particular quilt is that you don't have to cut out the fabrics. So when you have small prints, and prints that you really, really like, they will shine. You really, let the fabric shine. And I will probably insert, the way Shauna did actually in her latest podcast, insert a picture of the whole collection on the screen so that you can see how beautiful this is, and you can see the colours in there. It's all olive greens and purples and fawns, tans. I'm just so in love with this, and this is going to make such a beautiful piece for our home. So this is a project I'm hoping to do. I'm not sure when, obviously, and I'm not going to pressure myself at all, but I know it will be such a treat to make this. And it shouldn't be so much work because you don't have much piecing to do, actually. So yes, that was my birthday treat to myself. And I will probably be free motion quilting these as well. So going differently from Jiro Brandvik in this respect. I think she just quilts it in lines. Yes, she just quilts it in lines. And I want to have fun because I really love free motion quilting. So yeah, we'll see. And I think it lends itself well to this because you have very clean lines. So you can really have fun inside the lines with free motion quilting. And so talking of Jiro Brandvig, she's coming up with a beautiful collection of fabrics which is called High Tea. And she worked with Le Sien fabrics for that, not Moda, Le Sien, which is a Japanese company, I think. And it's absolutely lovely. And so Shauna and Sarah and me were thinking, of maybe having a quilt along, a high tea quilt along, in the early fall. I think it would be such a wonderful way to welcome fall, actually. Yeah, so that's it for my sewing. I did want to say though, I would love Jiro Brandvik to teach a class on Quilt As You Go and Craftsy. I think that would be just wonderful to have her as an instructor over there. So, for a bit of knitting, or rather a lot of knitting actually. First of all, so I finished my daughter's quilt. I also finished my little boy's pop blanket, handspun pop blanket. As you can see, I was done with knitting up all the squares last time I podcasted, so all I had left to do was assemble them. And assembled them using crochet, single crochet stitches. So that was really easy. I think the thing that took me most time was really to decide on the colour organisation. I'm pretty anal about this kind of thing, and but yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I wanted to have a balance of cool tones next to warm tones and stronger tones next to more subdued shades, really. So all of the centres here are hand spun, except for this one, because I didn't have any yellow fibre in my stash and I really wanted a yellow pop over there, and I actually put it pretty much in the centre, towards the centre of the quilt of the blanket, because I felt it did really add this pop of colour. And this is hand dyed using Wilton foot dyes. It was very fun to do. So yeah, I'm extremely happy with the way this turned out. I think it's so special and so cheerful, but not too bright at the same time. You know, it's still soft yet cheerful, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that was really my magnum opus for this baby. And you know, this is the first thing I started on when I felt safe to start working on things for the baby. So at the end of my first trimester, I started spinning all the minis, small skeins. It's more than minis really, it's 25 gram skeins each time. I started spinning them and you know, yeah, applying them, and then I knit up the squares. So yeah, that's really the big thing I made for my baby, really, the big project that I'm very happy about. So yes, I also made some baby tube socks out of the leftover yarn I had from my Rose City Rollers. So this is from Bergère de France, the Azure colourway in the Gumi 50 range. And so I'm very pleased to say that out of 50 grams of yarn I was able to eke out a pair of Rose City Rollers for me and a pair of tiny baby socks for my little boy. So they're very simple, you know, with a rib, a 2x2 rib cuff, and then just tubes and then decreases. I wrote down all of my notes because I didn't use a pattern for this. So if you want to make this, to replicate these, just go to my Ravelry project page and you will see the whole pattern written down over there, basically. So yes, I also finished the Corrigan cardigan by Dererum Natura, and the designer name is Solène Couix-Loirer, and she's the owner of the Dererum Natura company. The yarn over here, the natural yarn, is from Dererum Natura. It's a wonderful French company with beautiful, ethical, local, natural yarns. The yarn here that I used was from Deep Stash. It was yarn that I actually purchased for my daughter, hoping to make her a cardigan when she was a baby. So I'm glad I finally got to use it for her little brother. And it's Rowan Baby Silk Merino DK. It's beautiful, it has a lovely handle, it's super, super soft, lovely to knit with. It blocked out beautifully. And so you have this cabled yoke, which is really lovely. I did make a corrigan for my daughter in the 6-month size, and this is the 1-year size. I knit this at a larger gauge because this calls for the pattern calls for fingering weight. This is DK, so I adapted the newborn instructions to make a 1-year size. And I just need buttons. I didn't have any, it's blocked. I blocked it yesterday. I didn't have any buttons that worked in my stash, so I need to go and on the other side of town and go to my local haberdashers to find some buttons for this scene. But you know, I have time. It's for the winter and spring next year. Again, I'm glad I made this because there's no knowing how much time I'm going to be having in the next few months, so I do want to be a little ahead in my projects as well. And with the very last bit of this yarn, I had 3 balls of the Rowan Baby Merino Silk DK. So with the very last grams of it that were left over, I made a little hat, a little baby hat, to match. So this is called the Simple Baby Hat by Heather Tucker. I made this inspired by Tilly Trout, who, congratulations Tilly. Tilly just became, she has the Tilly Trout podcast on YouTube, and she hasn't podcasted in a while, but I find her podcasts hugely inspiring, and she just had her first grandson, so congratulations Tilly, and thank you for posting these happy pictures last week. You have no idea how lovely it was to see them, and it did bring me a smile, so thank you. It did help me last week. And your grandson is beautiful. And so she knit this for him, this hat, because apparently it's been really chilly in England, in Britain, so, and Petite Mignon is coming. Ça va, petit chat? Tu veux venir faire un câlin? Viens. Ma petite Mignon. There you go. I just opened the windows because it was so warm. I do hope you won't have too much noise, but she was on the other side, and so she heard me talk, so she was very curious to see what I was doing. Mon petit chat. Mon petite Mignon. So yes, it's a very simple hat. I did a 1x1 twisted rib for a change. I really like the look of that. It's such a nice, neat finish. And actually I did the same for this as well, for this cardigan. I think it calls for 2x2 rib at the end, at the hems, but I did 1x1 twisted rib, which I really, really like. Yeah, I really like the decreases on this. I think they're really, it's just a little damp because I blocked it yesterday night, and but yeah, I really like the decreases on this. It's really lovely. So that's a nice little set for winter that's all ready for my baby, and yeah. So this is a 6 month to 1 year size. I also cast on since we last talked. If you remember last time, I shared with you some of my new stash and not so new stash. And actually seeing this and talking about it on the podcast inspired me to cast this on, because they were just so gorgeous together, these two skeins. And so I mentioned I had been given skeins of Juno Fibre Arts Milli Singles in the Inkblot colourway by my friend Katrina, who is Nelly Knits on Instagram and Nelly 1001 on Ravelry, and she gave me this in March when I was in London. And I recently purchased a skein of Anne's Spoiling the Picnic from Little French Meadow, who is a UK, well, there are two ladies dyeing, so a UK hand dyer who is very much in love with France, and she often visits. And I keep being amazed at how well these two match. So I always use this mug when I'm knitting this, because it's just so perfect. So this is Anne Spoiling the Picnic on her Marcelly fingering weight base, which is 100%, I think, superwash merino. It's very, very soft. And so I've been making the cameo shawl, and I made a lot of progress on this because it's just so mindless and relaxing and absolutely delightful to knit on. I'd never knit this kind of shape for a shawl. Yeah, so I'm actually knitting an extra lace repeat because I have enough yarn and I just want to make the most of it. So I'm very, very much in love with this project. I think the two yarns go so well together because the Marcelly fingering is speckled with dark blue, which is just the same shade. So I think it works so well. You can see that in the stripes, I think. And the lace. It's very simple lace, very mindless, just extremely, extremely enjoyable. So I've been knitting on this a lot whilst we've been watching Doctor Who in the evening with Seb. So I think this would be very much linked. I think, you know how we build memories around our knitting and what we watch whilst we knit these things. And this definitely is going to be associated with the last few seasons of Doctor Who, I think. And Peter Capaldi and Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman as well. So yes, but I'm really very much in love with this project, both in terms of the yarn and the way they come, they've been just really come together, and also in terms of the pattern and yarn combination, really. And I'm keeping this in my beautiful Holland Handmade project bag. She's not updating her Etsy shop at the moment. I hope she comes back soon. I miss her, really. I really miss you, Erin, but yeah, it's definitely one of my favourite bags, this one. So yes, and I'm knitting this on 4mm needles, my usual Chigo needles, which are my favourite. I typically don't mention the needles I've been using, because when it comes to, whenever I knit with circular needles, it's always my Chigo needles that I use. But here I did want to mention it because you're supposed to knit this on 3.5mm needles, but I really like the handle of and the drape of fingering weight shawls knit on 4mm needles. And actually, because of that, I did run out of the navy, the Juno Fibre Arts yarn before the last stripe, so it's one stripe short. So that's also a reason why I'm making the lace border longer to make up for it. And that's it for all my projects. And I'm about to cast on for the cardigan, I think. And I mentioned last time I showed you my homespun house yarn. And at first I thought I was going to make a shawl out of it. I had a hard time deciding what to make out of this yarn. It's yeah, it's such a beautiful yarn. I really want to make, the perfect project out of it. But I've decided to make a cardigan, and I did knit up a swatch yesterday, which I didn't take with me. But I knit 2 swatches at different gauges, and I really like the gauge I get with 3.5mm needles, which gives me 26 stitches per 10 centimeters. And so a cardigan that would apply well to this gauge is the Peacock Eyes cardigan by Justyna Lorkowska. At first I thought I would make the Grace cardigan by Jane Richmond, which has been in my queue for a while, but it calls for a 24 stitch gauge, and at the moment I just don't want to mess around with math and numbers. I just want something rather mindless. And yeah, I really like the Peacock Eyes cardigan as well, and Justyna is giving us 20% off her lightweight, her fingering weight patterns until Sunday. So if you want to get the code, follow her on Instagram and check out her Instagram feed, because that's where she shared it yesterday. And so I'm thinking, yeah, that might be a good time to get this pattern. So that's it for my knitting today. And for Happy Mail Day, I have quite a lot of happy mail, and I received a lot of it in the last few days. First of all, I told you last time I had placed an order with the wool barn, and it came. And this is also to make a fingering weight cardigan. So this is her beautiful tweed sock by lovely Maya at the wool barn. So of course, because it's the wool barn, it's Maya's yarn, it's absolutely stunning. And the colorway is Merlot. And so it's 100%, it's 100 grams, 400 meters, 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal nap. and I think this will be such a perfect autumn and winter cardigan. And I'm thinking this will be perfect for the Grace, the Grace cardigan. I think this will look really nice with this cardigan. So that's another cardigan planned. And then I told you as well I wanted to place an order with Little Yellow Uke, Zena, who has the Little Yellow Uke Crafts Etsy shop and podcast. And I did, and this is what I scored on her last update. So, Little Yellow Uke Crafts. She included a progress keeper with each skein, which says handmade, which is really lovely. So this is the one I really wanted to get when she does a shop show a couple of days before her shop update, which is really useful. And she had this with this blue Hawaii on her soprano shawl base, which is 500 meters for 100 grams. And it's very surprising because you'd think with this kind of metrage it would be pretty thin, but it's not. It's really nice and fluffy, and really, it really truly is a fingering weight yarn. So it's absolutely glorious and so soft. It's 100% superwash merino. And so I knew I really wanted this. And she also has this colourway which is called I'm Yours, which is inspired by her wedding last year, by the colours of her wedding. So it's a natural base with pink and teal turquoise speckles, and the turquoise matches really well. So this is going to become a 2-colour shawl. I'm not entirely sure which one. I have 3 contenders at the moment. Either the Ashlyn by Justyna Lukowska again, or the Emiliana shawl, and I'm blanking on the name. I will put it in the screen. My friend Karine Mumgluglu made, or is still knitting a shawl, this shawl, Emiliana. It's a beautiful 2-colour shawl. Or, at the moment I'm more inclining towards this. I'm inclining towards knitting another, I knit this shawl last year for myself, in similar shades actually, by Maria Manska, the lattice shawl. And I think this would be a beautiful lattice shawl, and because I have so much metrage, I would definitely make it larger, and I would use this as the first colour and this as the border. And I'm thinking of knitting this as a Christmas gift for one of my sisters, my older sister, because this is really much, I love these shades, but these are very much her shades as well. And she is so knit worthy, and she always appreciates my knitting so much, and we've been on the phone all the time lately, supporting one another, and I just want to make her something really special. I also received some beautiful gifts. Oh yes, and Zena also sent me a lovely little treat. She sent me this set of stitch markers and this adorable kitty progress keeper, which is just so cute. And the stitch markers are yellow, but this very lovely yellow that I love, this lemon yellow. So nice. So thank you so much, Zena. I really love these. Yes, I've also been treated to some lovely gifts from friends. Melinda of the Yonder Woman podcast. She's such a sweet person, and I really enjoy her podcast. I love her personality. She's so inspiring in so many respects, and we'd been chatting lately, and actually we both wanted to send one. You know, it wasn't really a swap per se, because it just so happened that we both wanted to send one another something at the same time. But she was so kind, and I was so touched by this. I opened this a couple of days ago. She knit some matching toys for my children. So this is for the baby. It's a little lovey, I think you say. A little rabbit lovey, which is so cute and adorable. And so soft. And the yarn is beautiful. And she also was so thoughtful and included something for my daughter, which is this little owl. My daughter is completely in love with this, and she's been sleeping with it ever since she got it. She loves how soft it is. And it's just so soft and squishy and just so cute. And she absolutely dotes on this. So thank you so much, Melinda. That was really a lovely gesture. And she also knit something for me. She knit me a washcloth, which is just so lovely. And to make it complete, she included a Bird's Bees little kit with a lip balm and cuticle cream. And I love Bird's Bees. It's very hard to come by in France, and so I don't usually get it. She also sent some tea, and she sent some infusions or tisanes, which again was very thoughtful, because she obviously knows, it's obvious she's been very thoughtful about this and you know, mindful of what she sent me based on what I've been talking about on the podcast lately. She sent me some puka love, which I haven't tried. I haven't tried this one before, and it's rose, chamomile and lavender, so perfect. Completely the kind of thing I've been enjoying lately, and it matches my nail polish so well. And she sent me this, which is super special. It's slumber tea, and it's rose, linden, lavender, jasmine, orange, lemon balm and passion flower. It's organic, and it's actually made by one of her friends locally from her in Perth. So that's just so special, and definitely things I'm enjoying at the moment. So thank you so much, Melinda, and you're just such a wonderful person, so thank you very much, very much. I also got a package from my friend Maria, who has the Stitched in Sweden podcast, and who is the designer behind the lattice shawl that I just mentioned. And oh yes, first off, what did you say? The card that Melinda sent as well. I think cards in a package, they are the most special thing, aren't they? Because you can really see the hand of your friend who wrote a note, and especially for you, you know, made this package especially for you, wrote these words especially for you. It's always so incredibly special for me. And this comes from the other side of the world. And so she sent me this beautiful print of a vintage fabric, which is just so special in my favourite colours. Just so thoughtful and considerate. So Maria also sent me a beautiful card, a botanical card, which I absolutely love. And it's Maria lives in Sweden. It actually reminds me very much of Seb and I went to Sweden when we were married, so in 2007. We hiked in Sweden for a couple of weeks, and we started with Uppsala, which is a huge centre for, you know, in terms of biology, and especially, you know, anything botanical. And I remember how inspired I was with all the botanical drawings and museum and even gardens that there were over there. So it really does bring back lovely memories of Sweden. And Maria sent me this amazing skein, purple skein by Knitted Wit. Absolutely gorgeous, and it's fingering weight yarn. It's 80% merino, 20% nylon, 420 yards. It's absolutely gorgeous. So thank you so much, Maria. And she also sent me a super lovely treat, which is Rolags from Fund and Fibre. 100 grams of Rolags, which are just gorgeous. I think actually they go so well together. They're so gorgeous. So thank you so much, Maria. And they're a beautiful mix because anything from Deb is always so amazing. So it's 20% Gotland, 30% Shetland, 30% merino and 20% silk. So this is going to be such a treat to spin. And I love this kind of soft grey. So thank you, Maria. This really was so lovely to receive. I received another package that I haven't been up to opening yet. I need to be in a right place if you want to really enjoy opening a package. But it was sent to me by my friend Erin, who is Mama to Abigail. And so thank you so much, Erin. And of course I will let you know. I already thanked her for sending the package, and I will let you know as soon as I open it. But thank you so very much for your lovely package as well. So before I close off, in terms of my stash tally, you know I've been careful about the stash I'm knitting and the stash that goes in. With all these lovely things, my stash tally is up to 2,100 grams in, but I'm still in the green since I knit 207, gave away. I also sent out a couple of skeins to a friend. So I'm 2,733 grams out. So I'm still well in the green, which is a lovely feeling. The reason why I'm doing this is really that I have some lovely things in my stash, and I don't want to go buy the next nice thing and forget about the lovely things I have in my stash, if that makes any sense. So I've been really careful this year with whenever I want to start a project, trying my best to make my current stash work towards these projects, even if it means reworking at a different gauge or that kind of thing. But of course it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy getting this kind of beautiful stash. It just is such a joy. This has been sitting on my desk just for me to gaze at. I'm just so in love with this. And Mayu's yarn as well, which is just so gorgeous. So yes. So this is the last time I'll be talking to you. Well, I have been talking to you for a while. I have no idea when I'll be coming back, obviously. I have no idea what the next few months are going to be like. I just know I'm going to try and do my best to spend as much time as possible up north with my parents. But I will be updating my Instagram. So if you want to keep in touch, that's the best way to do so, really, is Instagram. So thank you so much for taking some time today to chat with me, and I do hope it wasn't, it was still enjoyable for you to watch. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you on Ravelry and Instagram, and I wish every one of you a wonderful summer or winter, of course, if, like Melinda, you're in the southern hemisphere. But I do hope you have a wonderful few months ahead, and I will talk to you whenever I can. So, bye bye.